Homeschooling our oldest has officially concluded. Last week, we took her to school. And I don't really have a lot to say about it. I'm going to insert some pictures and footage here. But I felt like I needed to say something because just when I started this channel, she was going into 6th grade. So you guys have been there through middle school, high school. And part of the reason I started the channel was to be a step ahead of many of you, because that's when she was going to 6th grade, there were not very many middle school or high school YouTube channels at all. And I wanted to know what it looked like. And so that's why I started. It was so that I could kind of walk a bit ahead and you guys could see what this experience is. So I feel like this one I need to do as well. I will say that she, like with researching colleges and all of that, she really took the lead on packing for school. She did most of it on her own. I helped brainstorm and logically think through a lot of it, but she really did so much of it on her own. So leading up to it, we left last weekend, and she worked until the Tuesday before. As it turns out, I think it almost would have been better for her to work maybe through that Thursday because she was really getting antsy. She had done so much of the packing before that week that she was bored a lot, and that anxious feeling. It was good to have her around a little more and all of that. And then she spent that last week or so doing a lot of cleaning out her room, cleaning it up well, good vacuuming and all of that stuff, so that when she comes home, it's that far. So that's something I would definitely recommend, is that before your kiddo heads off to school, that you spend some time going through donations. And you don't have, there are a lot of emotions that week, and so obviously you're going to have to judge your own kid, but I didn't do it in a way of like, okay, let's box up your childhood and whatever. I wasn't doing that. It was more just like, what things aren't you using? What things will you not be using again? And let's close those things up. Something else that is a lesson learned. We knew back in June that she needed a physical before she went to school. But I don't know, for whatever reason, we didn't get it scheduled until right before she went. Well, now there's an issue that they want to investigate. And there wasn't time to get it dealt with before. So we have to figure out if it's reasonable to try to have her do it while she's at school, or like on her own. Or my mom, or she has an adult to go with her, but it's not a highly urgent thing, like time sensitive, but sooner than later. So now we've got to figure out that. So tip number 2 is to make sure that those kind of things you get scheduled as early as you can. Don't be like me and just keep procrastinating, because now I've just added to my workload, my stress of it all. Now, as for drop-off day, her school has, I would bet a lot of schools have a similar system now, but with hers, move-in day was in alphabetical order. So there were 2 sections, like A to L and then M through Z. And we had a time frame for each of those. When we got there, they gave us a placard to put in the car, and we had 30 minutes to get everything out of the car. The way they helped you speed it up is that they have people coming up, all volunteers, coming along with golf carts, and then big boxes on wheels that I would describe looking like the big laundry hampers you see at like a hotel, like the big old things. And they unload your car, put it all in this big box and the golf cart, and then take you up to the front, or to move in. Her dorm had stairs on it, so they had to have a ramp going up it. And then of the 2 elevators in there, one of them was down. So there was a big backup of people trying to get of the golf carts waiting to unload, and then people trying to get the boxes up the ramp and then up. For some reason, they never came to our car. So we just started taking loads, and I'm so glad, because if we had to wait through on the elevator for that, it just would have been long. So thankfully, we didn't. She did not take a ton of stuff. So I think we did it in 4 loads. I think it were four or 5 trips, and that was with one of us staying at the car the entire time. So it didn't go badly at all. It went quickly. We got her up. And I had already told Jim and the boys that I may need to send them to go walk around campus a bit to help her get settled. I didn't know how it was going to go with her roommate in there and her roommate's family and us and trying to unpack. It seemed like it could be a lot of stress. As it turns out, it really wasn't. It went quickly. She had packed really well, organized things that it was easy to, like, here was a box of desk stuff. Here was a box for the closet stuff. That kind of thing. And then we had taken some drawers to put underneath her bed. They raised up, I don't know, maybe like 3 feet off the floor space. So we'd got some plastic drawers, and she had packed those with the stuff that was going to go in them. So unpacking went really smoothly. There were a couple of places on campus that we needed to visit for paperwork reasons. And then we did that and lunch and stuff. And then we had to go to the convocation. And this is where I'm going to cry. I thought I could make it longer, but I'm not. They had all the students sit on the floor, and the parents were in the stands. And watching them all come in, it was immediately reminiscent of a graduation. And then Elizabeth sent me a text, and there was something on their chairs. And I thought it looked like graduation tassels. Well, that'd be weird. But that's what it was. And it had their year on it. And I cried. And the convocation was good. The president spoke, and different people from around campus spoke, and students and that kind of thing. And it was good. It was just, a nice rah, welcome, let's get the year started type of thing. But mamas. And at the end of it said, there was something on the screen that said something like, I forget the wording, but it was basically like, say your goodbyes and then leave. And it just made me chuckle, because I know that there are parents and students who would not want to end that moment, right? And they would try to straggle along throughout the day and whatever. And I know that, like, obviously for parents, but I could also think about all the deployments and stuff and how hard it was to make that final cutoff. And kind of just rip the Band-Aid off, and that's how it was with the students. So afterwards, we had to say our goodbyes. I kept it together pretty well. But leaving was rough. It was hard. However, during the ceremony, they listed off, I made salsa this morning, and I've got jalapeno. I keep washing my hands, but I still got some jalapeno stuff on my hand. So we'll just blame this on that. They were listing off the countries where they had students from, and it's not a tiny school that she's at, but it's small enough that I was surprised. There were probably maybe 24 or so schools or countries that they lifted off, which seemed like a lot. And it was a good reminder to me that, like, I'm not sending my child halfway across the world. Like, in an hour's notice, like within an hour, someone from our family could be at her, less than, thereabouts. And, within a day, same day, I could be there. And it was a good reminder for me. Perspective that, like, yes, it's hard, and I am so sad to be away from her, and I am sad for the ending of childhood and the ending of the homeschool experience with her. But I'm not that far. And I really needed that perspective. Now, another tip that I'm going to say is that after drop-off that day, the next couple of days, give yourself more grace than what you anticipate. Give yourself some time by yourself to process. We were staying with family, and so I didn't really have that space to do it because I felt like I needed to. Well, for one, it wasn't my own space, but the other part was I just felt like didn't feel like I could. And I had a rough couple days. I was cranky. I was trying not to be, but I just needed to process. I still am. So give yourself that time. Know that it's probably going to happen. I know there are parents out there who this transition is seamless and they don't go through all this. But especially if it's your first, I would say just anticipate that you're going to need some time. So if you have a student who's going somewhere away, I know some of you right now are starting the application process and you don't know where you're going, but just know if they're going away, carve out some time. When you get home from the trip, make sure that you have some time that you don't have to do anything. We jumped right in, like the next couple of days we had plans, and then we started school back this week, full days and whatever, and it's a lot. It's just a lot. One other thing that I think was important to do last week was that I told her that I wasn't going to text her first. I needed her to take the lead on it, because I wanted her to be able to focus on meeting people and transitioning and doing all the activities that they had scheduled for them without the distraction of me and without us. And I think that was really good. Send me a couple texts through the week, give me a call over the weekend, and then we'll figure out the way, whatever the new norm is. But I needed that, and I think she really needed that as well. She really liked her teachers yesterday. They were all favorable first impressions. She had one professor who, as they were doing their introductions, was like taking notes about each student, which I thought was really cute, and was encouraging to me that, like, yeah, these professors are investing themselves in her. And I needed that, yeah, I needed that. Conclusion of child number 1. I hate to say conclusion, this sounds so final, but of homeschooling number 1. Let's put it that way. If you have any questions about our experience or whatever, leave them down there. And if you missed my conversation with her, I'll have that video up here. Go check it out, and I'll see you over there.